Welcome to this episode of your podcast, where we dive into the fascinating world of idioms. Idioms are an essential part of everyday language, making conversations more engaging, expressive, and colorful. They allow speakers to convey ideas and emotions in a way that is often more vivid and relatable than literal speech. Even though idioms don't always make sense if you take them literally, they carry meanings that are widely understood among native speakers and language learners alike. In this episode, we will explore 15 of the most common idioms, ones you might hear in daily conversations, movies, songs, and books. Some of these idioms have intriguing origins, while others have evolved over time to become part of modern language. Understanding idioms can be a game changer in communication, helping you to sound more natural and fluent when speaking. So whether you are a language enthusiast, a student looking to improve your vocabulary, or simply curious about how these expressions came to be, this episode is for you. We will break down each idiom, explain its meaning, and provide examples of how to use it in real-life situations. You might be surprised at how often you've heard these idioms without realizing their full significance. As we go through them, think about which ones you use the most and which ones you might want to start incorporating into your conversations. Language is dynamic, and idioms are a perfect example of how words and expressions evolve over time to shape communication. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of idioms together. The first idiom on your list is break a leg. Despite how it sounds, this phrase is actually a way of wishing someone good luck, especially before a performance or important event. It is commonly used in the entertainment industry, particularly in theater, but has expanded to other areas where encouragement is needed. There are several theories about how this phrase came to mean good luck. One popular explanation is that actors in theater traditionally avoided saying good luck directly, as it was believed to bring bad luck. Instead, they would use the phrase break a leg as a way to indirectly encourage a successful performance. Another theory traces the phrase back to ancient superstitions where wishing for the opposite of what one wanted was supposed to bring good fortune. In some cultures, it is believed that spirits or gods might bring misfortune if they heard someone openly hoping for success. So people use phrases like break a leg to trick fate. This idiom is often used before an important event, such as a speech, competition, or performance. Here are some examples of how it can be used. You have been practicing for months, so go out there and break a leg. Your audition is today, right? Break a leg. Good luck with your presentation. Break a leg. Even though this phrase is widely used in English, some languages have their own versions of wishing good luck that sound just as strange. Would you like to include an interesting comparison to other languages in your podcast? It could make the episode even more engaging. The second idiom on your list is the tip of the iceberg. This phrase is used to describe a situation where only a small part of a much larger issue is visible or understood. It implies that what is seen or known is just the beginning, and that there is much more beneath the surface that is not immediately apparent. The origin of this idiom comes from the fact that icebergs, which flow in the ocean, have only a small portion visible above the water, while the majority remains hidden beneath. This makes it a perfect metaphor for situations where the real depth or complexity of a problem is concealed. People often use this idiom when talking about hidden problems in business, politics, relationships, or any scenario where the full extent of the matter is not immediately obvious. Here are some examples of how it can be used. The financial losses reported by the company are just the tip of the iceberg. There are deeper issues that need to be addressed. What you saw in the news about the corruption scandal is only the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more happening behind the scenes. The arguments they have in public are just the tip of the iceberg. Their relationship has much deeper problems that outsiders don't see. This idiom is widely used in English to express the idea that reality is often more complicated than what is initially perceived. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you can incorporate a real-world example of a historical event or a personal experience that illustrates this idiom in action. On your list is speak of the devil. This phrase is used when someone who is just being discussed suddenly appears or becomes involved in the conversation. It is often said in a light-hearted or humorous way to acknowledge the coincidence of mentioning someone right before they show up. The origin of this idiom dates back to old superstitions in which speaking about the devil was believed to summon him. Over time, the phrase lost its ominous meaning and became more of a casual remark used when someone unexpectedly arrives after being talked about. People use this idiom in everyday conversations to point out surprising moments when a person appears after their name was mentioned. Here are some examples of how it can be used. We were just talking about you, and now you're here. Speak of the devil. I was telling everyone about the great advice you gave me yesterday, and then you walked in. Speak of the devil. We were wondering where Tom was, and look who just arrived. Speak of the devil. This idiom adds an element of surprise and humor to conversations when coincidences happen. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you could tell a funny personal story where this idiom was used in a real-life situation. On the fence is an idiom used to describe someone who is undecided or hesitant about making a choice. It implies that the person is stuck between two options and has not yet committed to one side or the other. The origin of this phrase comes from the visual image of someone literally sitting on a fence, unable to move toward either side, making a fitting metaphor for situations where a person is unsure or unwilling to take a stand on an issue. This idiom is often used when talking about decision-making in politics, business, relationships, or personal choices. Some examples of how it can be used include someone struggling to decide whether to accept a new job or stay in their current position, a person debating between two different car models before making a purchase, or someone unsure about which college to attend, because both schools have strong programs. It perfectly captures a feeling of hesitation and indecision in everyday conversations. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you can include a real-world example of a famous person or historical event where this idiom applied. Keep something under wraps is an idiom used when someone is keeping a secret or intentionally hiding information from others. It suggests that something is being concealed or not yet revealed, often because it is not the right time to share it or because the person wants to maintain privacy. The phrase originates from the idea of physically wrapping something to keep it covered, preventing others from seeing or accessing it. In conversations, this idiom is often used when discussing confidential plans, surprises, or undisclosed projects. Some examples include someone working on a new business idea, but choosing to keep it under wraps until the official launch, a celebrity avoiding questions about an upcoming movie to maintain excitement, or a friend planning a surprise party, and making sure everything stays secret until the big reveal. This expression is commonly used when discretion is necessary, or when revealing something too soon could ruin a carefully laid out plan. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you can share a personal or historical example where keeping something under wraps played a crucial role in achieving success or maintaining secrecy. The elephant in the room is an idiom used to describe an obvious problem or issue that everyone is aware of but avoids discussing. It suggests that there is a significant topic that people are hesitant to address, often because it is uncomfortable, controversial, or difficult to talk about. The origin of this phrase comes from the idea of a large elephant standing in a room, impossible to ignore, yet people pretend it is not there. This visual metaphor perfectly illustrates situations where a major issue is left unspoken even though it is clearly present. In conversations, this idiom is often used in contexts like workplace conflicts, family matters, or societal issues that people prefer to overlook. Some examples include a company struggling financially but avoiding discussions on layoffs, a family gathering where everyone knows two relatives are in conflict but no one brings it up, or a political debate where a serious problem is ignored despite its obvious importance. This expression captures the tension that comes with avoiding difficult conversations and is often used to highlight the need to acknowledge and address underlying issues. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, You could discuss a historical event or a personal experience where ignoring the elephant in the room led to greater consequences. A penny for your thoughts is an idiom used to ask someone what they are thinking, especially when they seem lost in thought or quiet. It is a way of inviting someone to share their thoughts or feelings, often in a friendly or curious manner. The origin of this phrase dates back to the 16th century, when it was common to offer a penny as a small reward for someone's opinions or insights. Over time, the idiom became more of a figurative expression rather than a literal offer of money. This idiom is frequently used in everyday conversations when someone appears deep in thought, distracted, or unusually quiet. Some examples include a person staring out the window for a long time and being asked a penny for your thoughts to prompt them to share what is on their mind, a friend sitting in silence during a meal, and someone using the phrase to check if they are okay, or a coworker looking worried and being asked a question to encourage conversation. This idiom adds warmth and curiosity to interactions, making it a great way to engage someone in conversation. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you can include a scenario where this phrase is used to uncover an interesting or unexpected thought. Burning the midnight oil is an idiom used to describe working late into the night, often to meet a deadline or complete an important task. It suggests dedication and hard work, typically when someone is putting an extra effort beyond regular hours. The origin of this phrase comes from a time when people used oil lamps for light, meaning that staying up late required burning oil to keep the lamp going. Over time, this imagery evolved into a metaphor for working long hours, often sacrificing sleep to get something done. This idiom is commonly used in academic, professional, and creative settings where people work late to achieve their goals. Some examples include a student studying until dawn to prepare for an exam, an employee staying up to finish a big project before a deadline, or a writer working late into the night to complete a novel. It reflects the commitment and perseverance needed to accomplish something important. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you could share a story about a well-known figure or a personal experience where burning the midnight oil led to success. Hit the books is an idiom used to describe studying hard, often before an important exam or deadline. It suggests dedicating time and effort to learning, usually in an intense or focused manner. The phrase originates from the literal act of opening books to read and study, evolving over time into a metaphor for concentrated academic work. This idiom is frequently used in school and university settings where students need to prepare for tests, assignments, or upcoming lessons. Some examples include a student telling their friends they cannot go out because they need to hit the books before an exam, a teacher advising their class to hit the books if they want to improve their grades, or a college student deciding to hit the books all weekend to finish a research paper. It emphasizes the importance of commitment and hard work in education. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you can include a personal or relatable example of a time when someone had to hit the books to achieve success. A blessing in disguise is an idiom used to describe a situation that seems bad or unfortunate at first, but later turns out to have a positive outcome. It implies that something negative or disappointing might actually lead to something beneficial or unexpected in the long run. The origin of this phrase dates back centuries, emphasizing the idea that difficulties or setbacks can sometimes bring hidden advantages. This idiom is often used in conversations about personal struggles, missed opportunities, or unexpected events that ultimately work out for the better. Some examples include someone losing a job, but later finding a better career path, a canceled trip that leads to a surprising new adventure, or failing an exam, but realizing it helped them discover a more suitable field of study. It reminds people that setbacks and disappointments can lead to something positive, even if it is not immediately obvious. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you could share a real-life example or a famous story where a blessing in disguise changed someone's life for the better. Out of the blue is an idiom used to describe something that happens unexpectedly or suddenly, without any warning or preparation. It conveys the idea that an event or situation occurred completely by surprise, often catching people off guard. The origin of this phrase comes from the imagery of something appearing out of a clear blue sky, where nothing seemed likely to happen. This idiom is frequently used in conversations to describe unexpected occurrences in daily life, relationships, or business. Some examples include someone receiving a job offer out of the blue when they were not even looking for one, an old friend reaching out after years of no contact completely out of the blue, or a sudden change in weather that disrupts carefully made plans. It emphasizes the unpredictability of life and how events can unfold without notice. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you can include a story where an out-of-the-blue event led to something surprising or life-changing. Hit the ground running is an idiom used to describe starting something with great energy, enthusiasm, and efficiency. It implies that instead of taking time to ease into a task or situation, a person jumps right in and begins working at full speed. The phrase originates from the idea of someone immediately sprinting upon landing, rather than slowing down or preparing first. This idiom is commonly used in professional, academic, and personal settings where quick action and strong momentum are needed. Some examples include a new employee joining a company and hitting the ground running by immediately contributing to projects, a team beginning a major campaign with full dedication from day one, or a student starting the school year by studying hard right away instead of gradually adjusting. It reflects the idea that success often comes from taking immediate and determined action. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you could include an example of a famous person or event where hitting the ground running led to significant achievements. Jump on the bandwagon is an idiom used to describe the act of joining a popular trend, movement, or activity, often because many others are already participating. It suggests that someone is following the crowd or adopting something simply because it has gained widespread attention rather than out of personal conviction. The phrase originates in the 19th century when political campaigns used bandwagons, decorated parade floats with music, to attract attention and encourage people to support a candidate. Over time, the expression evolved into a metaphor for people embracing popular trends in various aspects of life, including fashion, entertainment, sports, and social movements. Some examples include a person suddenly becoming a fan of a sports team only after they start winning championships, someone switching to a new social media platform just because everyone else is using it, or a company adopting a popular business strategy simply to keep up with competitors. This idiom highlights the influence of popularity and peer pressure in decision-making. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you could discuss examples of historical or cultural trends where large groups of people jumped on the bandwagon, leading to unexpected outcomes. A penny for your thoughts is an idiom used to ask someone what they are thinking, especially when they seem lost in thought or quiet. It is a way of inviting someone to share their thoughts or feelings, often in a friendly or curious manner. The origin of this phrase dates back to the 16th century, when it was common to offer a penny as a small reward for someone's opinions or insights. Over time, the idiom became more of a figurative expression rather than a literal offer of money. This idiom is frequently used in everyday conversations when someone appears deep in thought, distracted, or unusually quiet. Some examples include a person staring out the window for a long time and being asked a penny for your thoughts to prompt them to share what is on their mind, a friend sitting in silence during a meal, and someone using the phrase to check if they're okay, or a coworker looking worried, and being asked a question to encourage conversation. This idiom adds warmth and curiosity to interactions, making it a great way to engage someone in conversation. If you want to make your podcast episode more engaging, you can include a scenario where this phrase is used to uncover an interesting or unexpected thought.